Hello, everybody. This is Texas Danny, and allow me to just kind of do a quick, breezy one as best I can, at least quick for me, and keep it going and keep it moving. It's now early Saturday a.m. here in Texas, February the 13th, 2021, and it's cold. It's colder up north. I'd like to give a shout out and condolences to somebody in our community, in the affected community, who's had a pretty rough time lately, and that's Patrick Roberts. Hopefully to be hearing from him through the channels and stuff like that, and maybe help him out. The guy, the house burned down in Wisconsin under very, very, very cold conditions, and that's just some bad bummer news. It's kind of like the affected. If we didn't have any bad luck, we'd have no luck at all. But my best to Patrick Roberts. If you're listening by chance, Patrick, best to you, man. Now, again, everybody, this is early Saturday a.m., February the 13th, 2021. And this is just something I drew kind of for fun some time ago, but I didn't really go into it that very much. And I'm just kind of giving you, this is a super quantum disposition, right? Disposition, whatever. And I'm just from total memory recall, say circa 2016 as to circa current 2021. These are not supposed to be hairstyles. I just badly messed these up here at the sides. But I'm giving you kind of a given idea of skull shape. Okay, skull shape, all right, and how things were different from human beings who were pre-quantum jump human beings, far edge of the galaxy. Again, I don't know if I'm a Sagittarian. I can't say that because I did not know. I did know we were a outer edge Milky Way galaxy. We were not in the middle of the galaxy. We were like 80,000 light years out there. We were not 26,000 light years. And I understand we vary from being in the Orion Spur to Orion Cygnus to Orion. I don't know. Orion is very, very close in the constellations. Now, this is also, these are just very simple, very badly drawn. I give you kind of parameters like these are the brains, not necessarily bigger. These aren't to exact scale or anything like that. It's just to give you a very basic rough idea of how the brains were shaped a little bit different. And I can't remember, I know you had the syndrome reptilian, which I indulged way too far for certain reasons and other things, and you might have this, and because the craniums were different. Also, I'd like to point out our jaw lines were kind of more, I don't want to say slack, it sounds bad. It's kind of a more shallow jawline, and our ears were up on the center side, right? Here you have a kind of a more pronounced thrust forward jawline. The jaw comes out further, it thrusts out further, and the ear is below the, since there are indentations in the side, which we did not have side indentations in my reality, in my prior anatomy, right? The side indentations exist here, and I did stuff like if I got a headache, a real bad headache, and I took too much headache medicine and I knew it, I would rub the side of my temples, right? And I could feel the pulsations of the veins, right? But I didn't have any indentations. And this comes back real quick just to show you memory, okay? You remember the shape of a square, a triangle, a circle, right? So when people say that you are misremembering, they're very technically accurate. They're very technically accurate, but they're misleading. The statement and the way it's stated is misleading. You're misremembering. Of course, you're misremembering. It is true and it's accurate, but it's also incorrect because we have memory. We remember the shape of a square. We remember the shape of a triangle. We remember the shape of a circle or a sphere. 1, 2 indications for 2, 1, 2, 3, and so on, okay? There's one thing I will say about everything, the experiences that I've had since this all happened. People communicate exactly, and I mean exactly how they always did before, verbally. And as far as I can tell with the written language. Though there are some differences, like I swear I never heard of the word memes. The word meme right, was something that did not exist. Even debunk. Sorry, like Robert or something like that. Everybody who loves this, debunk. I may have heard that, I may have not. But meme, that's a qualifier, yeah. Now, these are like, I'm jumping around here, but these might represent the space-time doors, right, that existed from our superposition. These were going to be like hand imprints, but I decided not to show. That's like a neuron, kind of give you like neurons firing and everything like that, the differences. Because I wouldn't doubt that some differences in the way people think and so forth. We had neck bones. We did not have a brain stem going up into our, and we did a different type of spinal column and different rib cage and all that. And we had like a neck bone and so forth like that. And some things, one of the unfortunate things of when we became deceased, right, and we perished, frequently, not always, but frequently, our skull would separate from the rest of the skeleton, and of course always be right there, right? But it would separate because we just had primarily a neck bone which kept us attached. Now, sometimes, sure, it was still there, but it was much, much more likely to decay and disintegrate than this brainstem model you have here. Again, the ears are canted. They're lower and further to the rear here. Ours were a little bit up further and a little bit more, you cant them a little bit up more. Again, we had more on the side. You've got like more going back into the back of the cranium, but we had like, I would say probably a thicker side area. But again, also demonstrating just in real easy parlance here, we had a Arctic cap on the north, not just Arctic sea ice. We didn't have Greenland would have been much further southeast than she is now. But we had an Arctic, we called it Antarctica. I do not know of any land mass under there, but we had an extremely thick ice cap up there, and it covered northern Hudson Bay, Canada, northern Alaska, northern Russia. The top of the world was covered in ice, folks, and I'm just keeping it also very simple. We would have had South America much closer to North America, much closer. This version of South America is hundreds of miles further east-southeast, and that's part of the thing that's going on right now. Now, I want to go, that was that. I want to go real quick because it's already getting way too long. I want to keep it at 10, folks. Okay, we have a situation that is taking place with our Four Corners area in the United States of America. The Four Corners area has a unique situation that is going on right now. It's very vital and it's important, and it's in transformations right now. We've had a lot of water, a huge amount of water coming into the Utah southeast. It's also going into the Arizona northeast, but it's going all around this area. Water is part of the deal, everybody. H2O. The H2O properties with hydrocarbons probably have an electromagnetic memory, and if that electromagnetic memory can be manipulated in some way, and say, I don't know, like super subatom silicon crystallines or something like that, that maybe through magnetism you might be able to alter some things that are not seen. Okay, but that's just to suppose. A lot of changes coming up to the Gulf of California. Baja California, again, once just to qualify, much longer in this reality than it was in my old timeline. But the west coast of Mexico has also been chopped up. But we've got very major changes coming into the Sonora Desert. We have major changes in southeastern Southern California and southwestern Arizona. Very major changes. We have distinct major changes to the Phoenix area and the Tucson area, okay? We have also the situation because we are going east, breaking a little southeast, northeast, all depending, and things are going to be going in every possible direction because of all the mass involved. It's just an incredible calculations. But these are having their effects and their changes to Southern California. I grew up in Los Angeles, everybody. This is not my Los Angeles, okay? This is not my Los Angeles basin was not like this. Mine was more like a half moon oval shaped out there. And of course, we had the desert, but the valley would have been much bigger. the Earth was bigger, folks. My reality, my Earth, my prior Earth was much, much bigger. And I didn't have to use a spatula to force myself off the sidewalk so I can walk 10 feet, okay? It didn't happen, right? So what the quality aspects of gravity are, I don't understand that, because we are in a distinctly smaller body. But again, changes of every sort or type are happening. We have changes, mass changes in Utah, from central Utah, especially extreme southern central Utah, well, of course, going all the way over to the Four Corners, all through up Utah. We have Nevada and complex changes. She's more or less melting into California and settling. And California is being shifted because everything is moving, folks, in every possible direction. We have an increased gain in our water areas in Montana. We're going to be having changes in Montana coming. We've got distinct changes in Wyoming, because we have a lot going on in Yellowstone, and we have a lot going on in far eastern Wyoming with the Thunder Basin. I did one some time ago about how the Yellowstone area, as Yellowstone was moving, the Devil's Tower moved, all right, in relations to where it was. That's this. Now, I don't have the Devil's Tower designated in there. And this has been rapidly eroding in the scale of thousands and thousands of years. And just to give you an idea, if you see how it's a place like that, it would have been going like this and going up more to north. See how it's moving with the continental mass? Here it is. It would have been, it's in this area right in here, folks. Okay, it's in far eastern Wyoming, far western South Dakota, right? And this landmass is moving like this. It's moving up like this and going up like this. And the erosions have been further. I did this some time ago. I thought it was going to be maybe gone as far as the new year, and that was ultra fast though, but she has been an erosion. I'd like to do a thank you and a shout out to Once Upon a Timeline on her chat. She pulled up something nicely on the monument, the presidential monument. What's it called? When you know, I would have a brain situation right now. The tree line is eroding around there with the Mount Rushmore and Lincoln and Jefferson and Washington and Roosevelt, right? They're all up there on the mountain, and the tree line has been changing. But then again, like I said, I didn't denote that we had Devil's Tower in there. As that moved from, like, say this was the top of the page or something like that, it would have been over here, like, say, where the thunder was, right? That was in my, it managed to move to this position, right? What happened? Look here. This is what happened, folks. This is how your terrain is moving. It's moving like this. It's going up. It's going up. So we're in changes. Another thing to denote is we still have our situation with New York State is still in rapid changes, especially around the Finger Lakes. The Finger Lakes tell the story, everybody. Big time, the Finger Lakes do. And around Watertown, going out into the lake, because that's been blown out. But we also have New York and Long Island. New York, Long Island, in quantum terms, has changed mightily, very mightily for me. So it's had like deep erosions, and it's changed. But that's going to be going on, everybody. Let me go back real quick also to the Geneva Wave. Okay, what I call, and I'm designated the Geneva Wave. I've called the Denali Wave, the phenomenon with the water and everything like that that's happening in North America, coming out of Alaska, going into Canada and coming down to America, and also affecting Mexico. We've had the changes that we've had in the situations with the Geneva Wave with Europe right now, and I call it Geneva because that's just a place to base it on, and there could be some serious situations coming out with Geneva and with that entire area of Europe, because Europe is also in transformations. Now, this is very badly drawn. I'm an extremely poor artist, right? But I'm giving you just a rough idea of our changes. See this? See how your contours and your shapes, now this is grossly out of scale and badly drawn, right? But this is giving you an idea of how your changes are going to be happening, how they're taking place. Because the fuel is H2O, everybody. The fuel is water. It's H2O, and it's having its effects. We're having a lot of changes. We're going to have to look at France. We're going to have to look at Geneva. We're going to have to look everywhere around the Mediterranean, right down to Gibraltar and Spain and North Africa and the entire Mediterranean. These islands, Sardinia and Corsica, hard for me. I mean, how they're pronounced here, I don't know. We call them, Corsica and Sardinia, and these are going to do, I think, some amazing things. These are really going to do some very strange things. These are not going where anybody thinks they're going to go. The quantum time fluctuations change. When you get up from one day to the next, everybody, and you've slept, and it's been 8, 10, 12 hours, however long you hit the sack, right? 6 hours, whatever. When I get up, and I'm sure some of the other people in the quantum affected, Mandela affected community get up, we take a look out there and say, oh, looks like I've hit about 9,000 years today. It's that quick. Our point of observation and changes is dramatic, and we watch the reconfiguration. The reconfiguration, as it seems to Earth 10,000 times a second, right? Reconfigures, reshuffles everything like that. And again, we're going to have a lot of changes. We've got to watch Paris. We've got to watch London. Of course, going up to Scotland. Of course, going to Iceland and Greenland, Canada, Russia. Okay. But Paris may have a situation, especially with with Holland, the Netherlands up there, and this situation may even impact Bremen, Germany, right, or out to Graz, Austria. When this takes place and it transforms, it's going to be very, very active, and it's going to shift and change things around here. A lot of tracks that I am able to watch and see are taking place. Now, I've kind of noted Rome. Of course, Rome being an extremely important world city, and Venice being one of the world's greatest known cities. The actions that are coming out of Verona, right, and the tracks, and the moisture, and the changes. I've kind of marked this as kind of a X marks the spot in quantum activity, because this is going to be where a lot of fluctuations take place. And as you can see, these just very, very roughly uneven drawn ideas of changes, you're going to be seeing what's coming out. And for example, Italy was like this, okay? Like, let's say if Italy was like that. The Mediterranean was much bigger, and no doubt about it, much bigger. Now you change this, Italy's position is now like this. It's changed, it's up like this, everybody. Italy's position has gone from being way out there and kind of shaped like this. It would have been like this. Now it's like this. You see how it's sitting up? So Italy is changing, it's moving. But the water and the moisture that's going to affect the coast, everything that can be going on, the potentials off the coast of Rome, going out west and southwest of there, before the islands, and the situation, Sicily and the Boot Hill of Italy were not that close. They were some significant separations, some very significant separations. There was some good amount of sailing in there. This is all badly drawn out to scale. Quantum activity right and through here. Concerns through the Adriatic. Quantum activity through the Adriatic. Some question marks about Bosnia, Herzegovina, Croatia, Yugoslavia. All the way down, especially Greece. And I got to mention Crete. Crete has been really quantumly active, and she's headed in towards the African coast, or vice versa. The African coast is heading up there. That's why we're going to have impacts on water, because we have Giza in action. We've got a lot of stuff going on with Giza. Let me move on and just wrap this up, because it's going way too long. I know that. I apologize. I want to just go and move the map. One thing to note for purposes of designation, Los Alamos in New Mexico was in time prior green, all green, and has been for some time in white now. However, we've had changes in New Mexico closing in This suburb of north of Albuquerque was nowhere nearly as prominent or as big as that, right? And has grown. But these areas are all in being drawn in and closer to each other. We've had changes out in Roswell, the San Carlsbad, down there like that. Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. Okay. Now I want to there's, of course, famously Montauk, New York, Long Island, the Montauk Monster. Haha. But our central part of New York, right here in the Long Island area, is now in declination. It's going down further, okay? So we've had some amazing changes because we had the bay, right where JFK Airport was, we had that open up, and we had that closed so quick it wasn't funny. It came back in, those islands fell out, and it's like a seawall built itself overnight in Long Island. So we have some kind of a dynamic, absolute, incredible way of retrocausality, at least in information. At least in information is being transferred. And that's amazing in and of itself. But then again, a lot of us speculate from any possible cause, and there could be many, 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 that, CERN may have, mirror universes may have formally tried to contact each other and then said, hey, let's throw an information vacation packet in there. And that was disaster. That's rank speculation. Okay, the Finger Lakes used to be much more up and down. The only reason I looked the Finger Lakes up in once in life, Bill Murray did the Groundhog, 1992, the Groundhog Day, right? Love that movie. Great movie, the Groundhog Day, right? With Bill Murray. Okay. He was sitting in a part. I was never a fan of Jeopardy. Jeopardy's got the Watson now supercomputer, or it did in my reality a few years ago. They introduced Watson or something like that. But he was talking about the Finger Lakes, and I thought, I don't know much about the Finger Lakes in New York. So I looked them up, right, and looked how they look. That's why I can tell you, everybody, we have closings going on. We have shapes and changes. Also, I regret to say that I observed big town with the beginning with the letter S during the quantum shifts, and my lazy ass made no attempt. I kept on saying that's Buffalo's area. Why would they be putting that over Buffalo? Buffalo's out there. There's nothing bigger than Buffalo out there, and it wasn't Syracuse, and it wasn't Seneca or Syracuse. And of course, I knew those two New York places. It was some other town, and it had it all by itself, and I thought it was very, very strange. But we have these areas opening up. We had Watertown. I was in the Empire Glacier in 1980. We came from Fort Bragg, went up there. There was 1980, my reality was a record snow drought. We also had the Winter Olympics, and it was nearly a bust, right? The Winter Olympics was a record snow drought. Okay, we went up there. Watertown was not like this. But then again, I'm seeing the obvious differences. We got a lot of things going on with New York. I'm not going to go into them. Trust me, things are going on with New York. A lot of things. I was at Fort Bragg. These are things are changing in. Iron Mike. I'm trying to remember my chain of thought here. Iron Mike. My chain of thought. Anyway, some interesting things. Probably got me out of duty at Norfolk. My circumstances today probably saved my ass 1,000 times. I was a piss poor troop. Okay, going into it, that's North Dakota. I want to wrap this up, and I want to make one or two more quick points. Okay. Pennsylvania and rapid changes. Okay, let me go out here. I'm sorry. I don't know what's going to happen to Rhode Island. How much smaller can you get? I'm serious. Okay, depending on what's going to change, and again, we have rapid changes coming up here to the Thunder Basin. She's in rapid erosions. You have the orientation of things changing. And depending how retrocausality and how time goes, this is going to change according to the circumstances that are going to happen. Again, the tree line is coming up much, much closer to Mount Rushmore. And we have erosion areas, and we have fractals being represented. We have an increase in these lake areas getting bigger, right? You can see the splits occurring in time, right? I can't possibly remember all the freeways and stuff like that. It's just not going to happen. Everybody knows that. South Carolina has got a lot of stuff going on with it. Okay, let me wrap this up, and I thank you very much. One more mark. for Houston, I happened to listen to something about Apollo 13. It says, Houston, we've had a problem. Houston, we've had a problem. Repeat, Houston, we've had a problem. I'm looking down in there. That's Sugarland. Isn't that a Steven Spielberg movie? Sugarland. Sugarland. I think it is. Dallas-Fort Worth is turning more into like what Minneapolis-St. Paul is turning into. It's changing. We have time-spatial changes happening. Okay, big time, everybody. Utah is super story. A lot of activity all over Utah. Utah is everything on steroids, okay? And everything is on steroids already. Believe me, everything's going at it. Okay, I want to point out movements to Washington, D.C., up north to northeast, movements north to northeast in relative positions to Richmond. Washington, D.C., excuse me. Washington, D.C. What was I still saying Houston? I apologize. We have had a problem. Richmond, okay. We had Washington, D.C. distinctly further. We've got Baltimore and Washington, D.C. way too close. I've been to both Washington, D.C. I was in Lafayette Square. I was also at Fort Meade. So in space-time, I've been in approximate locations to these. And space-time with super subatomics, mathematical super quick is what you're going to have to be measuring. Big time right now. Everywhere. Because you have movements. You're in separations right now in there in Washington, D.C. I grew up in Clark County, Washington. That's changing. Washington State is changing. Gypsy Road, watch your butt up there. You got a lot of stuff going on. It's going to make a heck of a good movie, buddy. All right, one more time. We have changes to Washington, D.C. We've got these little highway areas that have changed in here. This broad double green stripe was all the way around Washington, D.C. and a little bit further out in some areas because it was, it went out further, right? And they built in these little sideway areas right here, these areas, so our lines are changing. We have a Potomac getting wider and moving out just a little bit. But this is how what we've got Washington, D.C. doing, everybody. See how she's straight up like that? She's doing like this. See that? She's doing like this. And we're in separation. We're in separation, slow but sure separations. Baltimore and Washington were always close, but they were not twin cities, and they are much, much, much closer in this reality. Okay, and one last thing. Between the state of Florida, right where Sonny's at, and the Frosties up here in Vancouver Island, those two are in a contest for mini quantum changes. North of Washington State, but Vancouver Island, British Columbia, and Florida are constantly going at it. It's kind of a gray area, kind of a gray box area in my thinking, but I think we've had one addition. Wainwright, we've now got 3 points in here. Huge quantum shifts, huge population shifts with the H2O, the Denali water event coming into Alberta. Okay, this has been too long, way too long, but thank you very much for listening, and I appreciate it very much. You can tell I am out of breath. God bless everybody in the Mandela Effect quantum community, the quantum community. Also, I'd like to make a mention, go back one more time to the United States. I am a human being, beings plural, right? I know what it is to be packing it's hard to say. Okay, I know what it is to be in different circumstances, right? And I am a human being. A lot of changes to Central Hawaii. I am somebody who's spiritually very flawed. I grew up there, but not this version. Spiritually flawed. So I've got my issues. So in that sense, one thing I will say, as a deeply, deeply flawed individual, you have that to continue with, and always keep that in mind when you get the information from me. Of course, the information can be tainted. I can be tainted, but I will never, ever attempt to deliberately deceive you, no matter the numerous problems I have with my personality. That's just the way it goes. That's who we are. We are in massive quantum changes. All of North America, all of Earth. We're at it, everybody. Texas Danny out.